The transport ship Unity shuddered as it passed through the final checkpoint before entering Zarian space. Commander Ben Davis pressed his face against the small window and watched alien patrol ships glide past like silver sharks in the dark ocean of space. Their sleek designs made human vessels look like flying scrap metal in comparison. "First time seeing them up close?" asked Ambassador Reed, the lead diplomat sitting across from Ben. The older man's hands shook slightly as he adjusted his formal uniform.
"Oh, no, sir,"
Ben replied. "I've seen plenty of them, usually while they were shooting at me." The other 3 diplomats in their small cabin shifted uncomfortably. They all knew Ben's reputation. In 3 years of war, he had become something of a legend among human forces. Not because he won every battle, but because he never lost one completely. When Zarian fleets expected human ships to retreat, Ben would attack. When they prepared for frontal assault, he would vanish into asteroid fields and strike from behind. The Zarian Empire controlled 12 star systems with technology that seemed like magic to human eyes. Their ships moved faster, hit harder, and had shields that could stop almost anything humans could throw at them. By all logic, the war should have ended in 6 months with total human defeat. Instead, it had dragged on for 3 brutal years. Remember, Ambassador Reed said, "For the 10th time since they left Earth, we are here to negotiate peace." Commander Davis is only with us because Queen Zara specifically requested to meet the human commander who has caused them so much trouble. Ben nodded but said nothing. He wondered why an alien queen would want to meet him personally. In his experience, when the enemy wanted to see you face to face, it usually meant bad news. The crystal city of Zarian Prime grew larger in the viewport. Towering spires of blue and green crystals stretched up from the planet's surface like frozen lightning. The entire city seemed to glow with its own inner light. Ben had to admit it was beautiful, even if it belonged to people trying to kill his species. "Look at that architecture," whispered Dr. Chen, the cultural specialist on their team. "Those crystal formations aren't just decorative. They're actually focusing and amplifying some kind of energy from their sun." "Everything they build has multiple purposes," added Dr. Murphy, their technology expert. "Their ships, their cities, even their weapons. Nothing is wasted." Ben listened, but kept his focus on the patrol ships escorting them down. Even here, in the heart of their empire, the Zarian military stayed alert. He respected that. Good soldiers never let their guard down, no matter how safe they felt. The landing platform was made of the same blue crystal as the rest of the city. When their transport touched down, Ben felt a strange tingling in his feet, as if the crystal was alive somehow. 6 Zarian guards waited for them, tall figures in flowing robes that seemed to shift color in the alien sunlight. "Welcome to Zarian Prime," said their escort, speaking perfect English through a translation device. "Her Majesty Queen Zara awaits your arrival." The guards led them through corridors filled with impossible architecture. Walls curved in directions that hurt Ben's eyes to follow. Gravity seemed lighter here, though he knew the planet was larger than Earth. Everything around them hummed with quiet energy. "Commander Davis," the lead guard said as they walked. "Her Majesty has studied your military records with great interest. She looks forward to meeting the human who thinks like no other of your species." Ben frowned. "How did you get my military records?" "Your transmissions are not as secure as you believe," the guard replied with what might have been amusement. They entered a vast throne room with a domed ceiling that showed the stars beyond. In the center sat Queen Zara, and Ben understood immediately why her people followed her into war. She was over 7 feet tall, with skin that seemed to contain tiny points of light, like looking at the night sky. Her eyes were silver and seemed to see everything at once. "Humans," she said, rising from her crystal throne. Her voice was deep and musical, speaking English with only a slight accent. "You have come far from your small blue world." Ambassador Reed stepped forward and began the formal greeting they had practiced. The Queen Zara raised one long-fingered hand for silence, her gaze fixed on Ben. "You are the one they call the Ghost Commander," she said. "The human who appears where he should not be, strikes where he cannot win, and vanishes before we can respond." "Your Majesty," Ben replied, keeping his voice steady. "I do what I must to protect my people." Something that might have been a smile crossed her alien features. Yes. You do exactly what you must, always. Never what we expect, but always what you must. She walked down from her throne, moving with fluid grace. Do you know what this war has cost my people, Commander? I know what it's cost mine, Ben answered. 17 billion credits in damaged ships, 3 years of resources that should have gone to expansion and development, and something my people have never experienced before, uncertainty. She stopped directly in front of Ben, towering over him. Your species fascinates us, Commander Davis. You are weaker than us in every measurable way, yet you fight as if you believe you can win. Ambassador Reed cleared his throat nervously. Your Majesty, we have come to discuss terms for peace. Queen Zara did not look away from Ben. Yes, peace. An interesting concept. My advisors tell me that conquering humanity will require at least 10 more years of war. We could do it, but the cost would be enormous. Your people fight like cornered animals, but with the intelligence of advanced beings. Dr. Chen spoke up. Your Majesty, surely there is a way for our civilizations to coexist peacefully. Now Queen Zara did turn, and her silver eyes seemed amused. There is human. There is exactly one way. She returned to her throne and sat down, her gaze returning to Ben. I have studied your species extensively, Commander. Your literature, your history, your customs. Humans form bonds that transcend logic. You will die for ideas, for other people, for concepts that have no physical reality. This is why you fight so strangely. You do not fight for territory or resources. You fight for each other. Ben felt a chill run down his spine. Something about the way she spoke suggested this conversation was heading somewhere he would not like. My people admire strength, Commander. We respect those who prove their worth through action. In 3 years, you have proven that humans possess a form of strength we did not expect. Not physical strength, not technological strength, but something else. Something we do not fully understand, but have learned to respect. Queen Zara stood again. And this time her voice carried the weight of absolute authority. Therefore, I offer humanity one chance for survival. Commander Ben Davis, you will marry me and become king consort of the Zarian Empire. Our civilizations will merge under joint leadership. Your people will live under our protection, and we will benefit from your unusual way of thinking. The throne room fell into complete silence. Ben felt the blood drain from his face, while his fellow humans stared in shock. And if I refuse? He managed to ask. Then the war continues until humanity's extinct, Queen Zara replied without emotion. I give your species exactly 72 hours to decide. You may return to your ship to consider my offer. Ambassador Reed found his voice first. Your Majesty, surely we can discuss other alternatives? There are no alternatives, she said firmly. I have chosen Commander Davis because he represents what is strong about humanity. A marriage between us would symbolize the joining of our peoples. He would rule beside me, bringing human perspectives to Zarian leadership. Ben's mind raced. What would happen to human colonies? Our military? Our government. They would become part of the Zarian Empire, but with significant autonomy under your guidance as king consort. Your people would keep their worlds, their culture, their freedom to live as they choose. But they would also have our protection and our technology. Dr. Murphy stepped forward, and if Commander Davis agrees, the war ends immediately. All hostilities cease the moment the marriage ceremony concludes, Queen Zara confirmed. Ben looked at his companions, seeing the same thought in all their faces. Billions of lives hung on his decision. If he said no, the war would continue, and eventually humanity would lose. Earth itself might be destroyed. If he said yes, his people would survive. But under alien rule, I need time to think, he said finally. Of course. You have 72 hours. Queen Zara gestured to the guards. You will be given quarters in the palace during this time. You may communicate with your leaders on Earth, but remember, at the end of 3 days, I require an answer. The guards escorted them through more crystal corridors to a suite of rooms that would have been luxurious by human standards. The walls were transparent crystal that could be made opaque with a touch, and the furniture seemed to grow from the floor itself. This is insane, Dr. Chen said as soon as they were alone. She can't be serious. She's completely serious, Ben replied, staring out at the alien city below. The question is whether I can be. Ambassador Reed activated their communication device to contact Earth. This changes everything. We need to speak with the president immediately. While Reed spoke in urgent whispers to their leaders back home, Ben walked onto the crystal balcony outside their rooms. The alien sun was setting, painting the crystal spires in shades of red and gold. It was beautiful in a way that made his chest ache with homesickness. Commander Dr. Murphy joined him on the balcony. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking about my sister," Ben said quietly. "She has 2 kids. They're probably in school right now, learning about planets and stars, dreaming about exploring space when they grow up." He paused. "If I say no, they might never get that chance. If you say yes, if I say yes, I spend the rest of my life married to an alien queen who could probably crush my skull with one hand." Ben managed a weak smile. "But my sister's kids get to grow up." Dr. Murphy was quiet for a moment. "There might be advantages to this arrangement. Access to their technology, their knowledge. Humans have always adapted to new situations." "That's what I'm counting on," Ben said. Ambassador Reed finished his call and joined them. "The president wants to know if you're seriously considering this." Ben was quiet for a long moment, watching alien birds circle the crystal towers. "Reed, in your honest opinion, can we win this war?" The ambassador hesitated. "No, we can make it expensive for them, but eventually our resources will run out. How many people die if the war continues?" "Estimates range from millions to the complete extinction of our species." Ben nodded. "And if I marry her?" "Unknown. It could be the beginning of a golden age for humanity, or it could be slow slavery disguised as partnership. But people live. People live." Ben turned back to the city below. Somewhere in those crystal towers, Queen Zara was probably planning their wedding, confident that he would accept. The thought should have terrified him, but instead he felt oddly calm. "I want to know more about their culture," he said. "Everything you can find. Marriage customs, political structure, law, religion. If I'm going to do this, I need to understand what I'm getting into." Dr. Chen's eyes lit up. "You're seriously considering it?" "I'm seriously trying to find a way to save humanity that doesn't involve all of us dying," Ben replied. They spent the evening going through every piece of information they had about Zarian society. Ben learned that marriages among their nobility were political arrangements that carried enormous weight. A queen's consort would have real power, not just ceremonial titles. He would be expected to advise on military matters, help govern the empire, and represent humanity's interests. "It's not just symbolic," Dr. Chen explained. "In their culture, the queen's consort is considered her equal in many ways. He would have the authority to make decisions about human colonies, human military units, even human laws." "So I wouldn't just be a prisoner in a golden cage," Ben mused. "More like a partner in the largest government in known space," Dr. Murphy added. "Think about what you could accomplish with their resources and technology." Ben spent the second day walking through the Crystal City with guards who were surprisingly willing to answer his questions. He learned that Zarian society valued innovation and efficiency above all else. Their war with humanity had actually strengthened their respect for human creativity. "Your people think in ways we do not," explained Captain Vex, his primary guard. "This troubles some of our leaders, but Queen Zara sees it as valuable. She believes combining our strengths would create something greater than either species alone." "And what do you think, Captain?" The alien considered this carefully. "I have fought against human forces for 3 years, Commander. You are stubborn and unpredictable and refuse to accept defeat even when defeat is certain. These are traits we respect." That evening, Ben stood on the balcony again, but this time he wasn't alone. Queen Zara had come to speak with him personally. "You have been learning about my people," she said, settling gracefully onto a crystal bench that seemed to grow from the balcony floor. "Knowledge is power," Ben replied. "If I'm going to make this decision, I need to understand what I'm choosing. And what have you learned?" Ben turned to face her. In the alien starlight, she was even more striking than in the throne room. "I've learned that your people aren't evil. You're not trying to destroy humanity because you hate us. You're expanding because that's what successful species do. And you're offering me something that almost no conquered people in history have ever been offered? Real partnership instead of slavery. Queen Zara's silver eyes studied him intently. You speak as if you have made your decision. I have one more day to decide, Ben said carefully. Indeed you do. She stood to leave, then paused. Commander, may I ask you something? Of course, in all our research of human history, we have found examples of individuals who sacrifice themselves for their people. But we have also found examples of those who sacrifice their people for themselves. Which kind of human are you? Ben met her gaze steadily. Your Majesty, in 3 years of war, have I ever made a decision that put my own safety above my people's survival? For the first time since he had met her, Queen Zara smiled. It was a genuine expression that transformed her entire face. No, Commander Davis, you have not. After she left, Ben spent most of the night staring at the alien stars and thinking about home. Tomorrow, he would give his answer, and whatever he decided would change the course of human history forever. The weight of that responsibility should have crushed him. But instead, Ben found himself thinking about his training as a young officer. His instructor had told him that the hardest decisions weren't between good and evil, but between bad and worse. As the alien dawn broke over the Crystal City, Commander Ben Davis finally knew what he had to do. The morning of the third day arrived with alien sunrise, painting the Crystal City in shades of gold and purple. Commander Ben Davis stood before the mirror in his quarters, adjusting the formal dress uniform he had brought for diplomatic meetings. In a few hours, he would face Queen Zara and give his answer that would determine the fate of humanity. Ambassador Reed knocked softly on his door. Ben, the Queen is waiting in the throne room. I'll be right there, Ben replied, taking one last look at himself. He thought about his parents back on Earth, probably watching the news feeds and wondering if their son would come home. After today, he might never see Earth again. The walk to the throne room felt longer than before. Crystal corridors stretched endlessly ahead, filled with alien guards and nobles who had come to witness this historic moment. Word had spread throughout the Zarian Empire that their Queen was either gaining a human consort or declaring total war. Queen Zara sat on her throne, wearing robes of deep blue that seemed to contain moving stars. Her silver eyes tracked Ben's approach with careful attention. The throne room was packed with Zarian nobility, their colorful robes creating a sea of watching faces. Commander Ben Davis, Queen Zara announced, her voice carrying clearly through the vast space. You have had 3 days to consider my proposal. Have you reached a decision? Ben stepped forward, his boots clicking on the crystal floor. Every eye in the room focused on him. He could feel the weight of history pressing down on his shoulders. Your Majesty, he began, his voice steady and clear. I accept your proposal, but with conditions. A murmur ran through the assembled nobles. Queen Zara raised one hand for silence, her expression unreadable. You wish to negotiate the terms of our marriage? She asked. I wish to ensure that this union serves both our peoples equally, Ben replied. If we are to be partners, then it must be a true partnership. Queen Zara leaned forward slightly. State your conditions, Commander. Ben had spent most of the night preparing for this moment. First, human colonies must maintain their cultural autonomy. We keep our laws, our customs, and our way of life acceptable. Continue. Second, human military forces will be integrated with yours as equals, not subordinates. Our tactics and strategies must be studied and respected, not dismissed. Several Zarian nobles shifted uncomfortably at this, but Queen Zara nodded. Also acceptable. Your third condition? Joint research and development programs. Human creativity combined with Zarian technology, with shared benefits for both species, and your final condition. Ben took a deep breath. That you teach me your language and customs while I teach you ours. If we are to rule together, we must truly understand each other. Queen Zara was silent for a long moment, studying Ben's face. Then she stood, and when she spoke, her voice carried approval. Your conditions demonstrate wisdom. Commander Davis, you think not as a conquered enemy seeking mercy, but as a partner seeking equality. I accept all your terms. The throne room erupted in surprised voices, but Queen Zara continued speaking over the noise. The marriage ceremony will take place in 7 days, allowing time for both our peoples to witness this historic union. Commander Davis will spend this week learning our customs while I learn his. Later that afternoon, Ben found himself in the palace library with Dr. Chen and a Zarian scholar named Teacher Mira. The alien had pale green skin and 4 arms, which she used to handle multiple data crystals simultaneously. Human marriage customs are fascinating, Teacher Mira said, her voice melodic. Your species bonds for emotional reasons rather than political necessity. Sometimes both, Ben admitted. What about Zarian marriages? We form partnerships based on complementary strengths, she explained. A successful marriage combines different abilities to create something stronger than either individual alone. Dr. Chen looked up from his notes. That actually sounds more practical than many human marriages. Perhaps, Teacher Mira agreed. But your emotional bonds create loyalty that logic alone cannot match. Queen Zara finds this very interesting. That evening, Ben was surprised when Queen Zara joined him for dinner in his quarters. She had changed from her formal robes into simpler clothing that made her seem less intimidating. You spent the day learning about marriage customs, she said, settling gracefully into a chair that adjusted itself to fit her tall frame. Among other things, Ben replied, I'm also learning your military history. Your people have never lost a war. Until now, Queen Zara said quietly. We have not lost to humanity, but we have not won either. This troubles my advisors greatly. Ben studied her face. Is that why you chose marriage instead of continued war? Partly. But also because I have observed something about your species that my advisors have not? She paused, seeming to choose her words carefully. Humans fight differently when they have something to protect rather than something to defeat. What do you mean? In 3 years of war, your most successful battles were those where you defended human colonies or rescued human prisoners. You fight with greater creativity and determination when protecting others than when simply trying to win. Ben had never thought about it that way, but she was right. His best tactical decisions had come when human lives were directly threatened. I believe, Queen Zara continued, that humans and Zarians together could accomplish things that neither species could achieve alone. Your protectiveness, combined with our resources, your creativity combined with our technology, you're talking about something bigger than just ending the war, Ben realized. It's much bigger, Commander. But first, we must prove that such a partnership can work. The wedding preparations took place over the next week with both human and Zarian traditions blended together. Ben learned Zarian formal language while Queen Zara studied human customs. They met each evening to share what they had learned. Your people have a tradition called honeymoon, she said on the 4th evening, clearly struggling with the unfamiliar word. A time for newly married couples to be alone together and strengthen their bond, Ben explained. We have something similar, but it involves combat training. Ben laughed, the first genuine laugh he had managed since arriving on Zarian Prime. Of course it does. Queen Zara's silver eyes seemed amused. Perhaps we can combine both traditions. The wedding day arrived with ceremony unlike anything in human history. The Crystal Cathedral could hold 50,000 beings, and every seat was filled. Representatives from every human colony attended via holographic projection. While Zarian nobles filled the vast space with their colorful presence, Ben wore a combination of human, formal dress and Zarian ceremonial armor. Queen Zara appeared in robes of flowing silver that seemed to capture and reflect every light in the cathedral. When she walked down the aisle, even the humans watching from their distant worlds fell silent in awe. The ceremony itself blended traditions from both species. They exchanged vows in both languages, promising partnership, protection, and mutual respect. When Queen Zara placed a crystal crown on Ben's head, officially making him king consort of the Zarian Empire, every human watching realized their species had just gained a voice in galactic politics. I now present King Ben and Queen Zara of the Zarian Empire, announced the High Priest, speaking in both languages. May their union bring prosperity to all peoples under their protection. The celebration lasted 3 days, but Ben and Zara spent their time planning rather than partying. They had an empire to run and two very different species to unite. The first challenge will be integrating our military forces, Zara explained, as they reviewed reports in their new shared office. Many of my generals doubt human tactical abilities, then we'll have to prove them wrong, Ben replied. What's our most pressing military threat? The machine intelligence calling itself the Collective has been expanding into our outer territories. They have taken 3 uninhabited systems in the past year. Ben studied the tactical reports. These machines fight like Xerians expect enemies to fight. Logical, predictable patterns. What if we tried something they wouldn't expect? Such as human and Xerian forces working together. Your technology and firepower, our unpredictability and tactical flexibility. Queen Zara's eyes lit up with interest. Show me what you have in mind. Ben spent the next several hours outlining a battle plan that combined Xerian ship capabilities with human tactical thinking. Instead of direct confrontation, they would use hit-and-run attacks, false retreats, and coordinated strikes from multiple directions. This plan violates every principle of Xerian military doctrine, Zara said when he finished. Exactly. The Collective will be studying your previous battles, expecting you to fight the same way. They won't be prepared for human-style chaos. 2 weeks later, the combined fleet jumped into the contested system. Admiral Kress commanded the Xerian ships, while Ben led the human vessels. For the first time in the war, human and alien forces fought side by side instead of against each other. The Collective machines responded exactly as Ben predicted, moving to counter traditional Xerian tactics. But when human ships appeared from behind asteroids and Xerian vessels suddenly changed course mid-battle, the machine intelligence found itself confused and overwhelmed. Target their command ship, Ben ordered over the communications link. All human vessels, pattern Alpha 7. The human ships scattered in what looked like retreat, but moments later they reformed behind the machine fleet, while Xerian vessels hit from the front. Caught between two forces using completely different tactical approaches, the Collective machines struggled to adapt. Their command algorithms cannot process our combined strategies, reported Admiral Kress with obvious amazement. They keep switching between counters for human tactics and counters for Xerian tactics, which means they're countering neither effectively, Ben replied. Press the attack. The battle ended in complete victory for the combined fleet. More importantly, it proved that human and Xerian forces could work together better than anyone had imagined. Your tactical approach saved at least 30 ships and 2,000 lives, Queen Zara told Ben that evening as they reviewed the battle reports. My generals are no longer questioning human military value. Good, because I have ideas for improving Xerian ship designs too. She raised an eyebrow. Oh, your ships are beautiful and efficient, but they're designed for the kind of warfare Xerians prefer. Humans fight differently. What if we designed vessels that could adapt their configuration during battle? Explain. Ben pulled up ship schematics on the holographic display. Modular designs. Ships that can separate into smaller fast-tack vessels for hit-and-run missions, then recombine into larger ships for heavy assault. Queen Zara studied the designs with growing excitement. This would allow tactical flexibility we have never possessed. One ship could fulfill multiple battlefield roles. Exactly. And with Xerian manufacturing capabilities, we could build them faster than anyone expects. Over the following months, their partnership grew stronger as they tackled challenge after challenge together. Human colonies were integrated into the Xerian Empire with full autonomy. Xerian technology was shared with human scientists, leading to breakthrough discoveries that benefited both species. The modular ship designs proved so successful that other alien civilizations began requesting technology trades. The Xerian human empire became the dominant force in their region of space, not through conquest, but through innovation and cooperation. We received another request for alliance today, Zara told Ben as they walked through their private garden. A blend of Earth and Xerian plants that somehow thrive together. From whom? The crystalline hegemony. They want access to our modular ship technology in exchange for their medical advances. Ben considered this. Medical technology could help both our species live longer, healthier lives. My thoughts exactly. Shall we arrange a meeting? As they planned for the future, Ben often thought about how different his life had become from what he expected. He had gone from being a soldier fighting for humanity's survival to being a king helping to shape galactic civilization. Do you ever regret your choice? Zara asked him one evening as they watched both Earth's moon and Zirion's 3 satellites rise over their palace. Ben took her hand, still amazed by how natural the gesture had become. Never. You offered me a chance to save my people, but what you actually gave me was the chance to help both our peoples become something greater, even though you can never go home to Earth. This is home now, Ben replied, looking out at the crystal city that had become familiar and beloved. Besides, home isn't a place. It's the people you protect and the future you build together. Queen Zara smiled, the expression transforming her alien features into something warm and beautiful. You have taught me something about human wisdom, my husband. Sometimes the greatest victories come not from defeating your enemies, but from making them your allies. Thanks for watching.